All right, Mike here for Underground Video Network's Behind the Counter, here at Detroit Fanfare 2013, one of our favorite conventions of all times. Over the years, we've gotten really fond of this, and every once in a while, you get lucky going to a con, you get to meet somebody that you truly admire and you follow. I have with me the lovely and talented Amber Love.
Hi, Mike.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
How's the con treating you?
It's really nice here.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I first was introduced to Amber through a mutual friend, Tom Zoller of Loving Capes. I follow everything he does, and I saw the lovely Amber here modeling the Amazona costume.
Yeah, that was in New York years ago.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, I love Tom, I love everything, and I clicked on the link. I'm like, wow, she's not just just a booth. I mean, not to downplay, but she's not just a booth babe. She's incredible. You have your website, Amber Unmasked, and you have your podcast, the
Vodka O'Clock.
Well, let me ask you, because you are a fantastic cosplayer, what got you started doing the cosplay work?
Well, once I realized that it was like an actual thing, but otherwise costumes have just been something that my family's always done for Halloween or pageants or whatever. But when my ex-husband told me about Comic Cons and what they are, and that people dress up, I was like, people dress up? And I got really excited. I was like, what do you mean people dress up?
Yeah.
And I was just like, wait. And I was like, at the time City of Heroes was around and we used to play addictively.
Oh, yeah.
And I would go into the character generator and just like design outfits. And then I would go and see what I could make. So I got really, really close with my comic shop, Comic Fusion. And I started planning like free comic book day with them. So that was my first outfit was for them. And then we launched Wonder Woman Day, and that became our superhero weekend.
Who's this guy?
And so there's always, just a lot of stuff with the comic shop. I mean, at one time I dressed up for every car show just because I wanted to wear my outfits.
Yeah.
So it just started because of comics.
Right.
Some people get in because of gaming or anime or whatever, but mine was specifically comics.
Right. Now you actually do commission work too. I mean, not only do you do customs for yourselves, but
not really. I mean, only if it's for our friends.
Okay.
I have an Etsy site, which is stuff that I'll make and I'll post, but I don't custom make them for people.
Okay.
I make stuff for my friend Panda Valentine. But I mostly I don't take commissions because it's really hard when you can't fit somebody. Because when I make them for myself, I mean, it's just one of those funny things where I'll be tweeting about, yep, someone in my underwear, because you have to take the outfit on, put it on, try to measure it to yourself, because a dress form isn't your form.
Right.
It's some generic manufactured thing.
Yeah.
So unless you do somehow, a lot of people do duct tape dummies to get their exact measurements, but mine's not. I just have actual dress forms.
Right.
So they're, I have to put the suits on me as I'm working on them to make sure that they're going to fit.
Right.
So I can't do that if the person's not there.
Now, I asked this, but I already know. What are some of the favorite costumes that you have that you like to wear out?
I sold a lot of my stuff, but Wonder Woman is always one of my favorite things, just because she's recognizable. And Firestar, I like for my own sentimental reasons from watching Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. So I would dress as Firestar and walk around with a little dog. And Sue Storm, I was a character I loved the outfit so much, and I love being Sue Storm because I hated her when I was a kid. And a friend of mine from New Moon Comics schooled me on her one day. He's like, no, she's great. And I was like, okay. And he gave me this lecture, I got my own little lecture about her, and I was like, she's wonderful. And then I started reading the book, and I learned about her and Namor, and I was like, you go. So I ended up loving her. And then I got my suit signed by George Perez and Joe Sinnott. So I don't really wear it anymore. It's kind of retired.
No, you got to put it in that glass case Batman and the Robin costumes,
Yeah, I wish I had that.
There you go. If you have one of those cases, we will link you to her website. Send it to her.
There we go.
Now, it's not like you said, it's not just economic conventions that you dress up to. I've seen your work through, you do a lot through Comic Fusion, too,
right.
with charities and such.
We do our own charity every year. We do a big fundraiser. We do free comic book day. And then once in a while, I'll get invited to other charity events because I know the guys at the 501st. They're great. My local garrison of the 501st is amazing. And when we hear about charity things, we'll invite each other and whatever. And there was a new playground project that somebody contacted me through the comic shop about, that because the Hurricane Sandy destroyed like New Jersey, they were building new playgrounds up and down the coast where there were so much devastation.
Right.
And then we had the Newtown shootings.
Yeah.
So what happened is these people decided to name these playgrounds for Project Sandy, named them after all of the victims of Newtown. So it was because that's called Sandy Hook, and the hurricane was called Sandy. It became like Project Sandy thing. So the 501st and I, like a couple superheroes, we did a dedication for the playground in Asbury Park. And that was amazing because the woman that it was named after was one of the teachers. Her whole family from Connecticut came down. Like, I mean, there was like droves of people, all the firemen, because I think all the firemen helped build it. It was an amazing event, and it was gorgeous right there on the beach. Beautiful day. So yeah, so sometimes I get invited to other things besides, specifically the fundraiser that we do.
Right. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, I follow your website. I follow you on Facebook, and I follow your website. What inspired you to start Amber Unmasked? To say, here's my voice.
Well, I kind of just got annoyed with bigger networks that, I'm older, so like they always want like the young hot people that are 20 something, and I mean I had
full head of hair.
I didn't have the money to like you're basically, I mean, as a blogger, you're not making money, you're spending all of your money, and I didn't have the money to like do these things that these other people were doing.
Right.
And then the one website that I actually did enjoy working for, the Girls Entertainment Network, went under because they had some sort of administrative fallout. I don't know. So I was like, all right, well, screw them. I want to be in charge of my own stuff. And I always had like a blog. I had like Blogger, and before that I had LiveJournal, and so I always had something. But I just decided to make the website because I wanted to try to find like one place, for the galleries and posts and everything. And I just don't trust Facebook. I mean, and it doesn't reach. I mean, a lot of people are trying little experiments with paying the boost.
Oh yeah.
And they noticed it. They're like, oh, so I paid like $4 for this post, and it still only reached 50% of the people following me. Yeah. And I'm like, sorry, fuck you, Facebook. You're not getting my money.
Damn you, Zuckerberg.
They've banned my photos. They can kiss my ass. So that's why. So I want the stuff on my site that I'm in control of.
Exactly, and it's a fantastically put together site. I enjoy checking it out every once in a while. Now, something else along the lines of comic books. You don't just do reviews. You've gotten your hand into some comic books and done some writing before.
I write a little bit, yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about your writing?
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, all the stuff that I had planned for this year still isn't out. Once I do my part of the writing, it goes off to other people, and I have to wait for it to be done. So all the projects that I had wanted for this year just aren't out yet. But
Facebook has something to do with it, you know it.
Yeah, probably. It's the man. It's the government shutdown. I did an anthology called Shelter, where we sold the book to raise money for Food on Foot, which is a charity in Los Angeles to feed the homeless. And I've just done some of my own like little short stories. And Thomas Boatwright, I can't wait to work with him again. He and I talk once in a while about, we need to do another project together because we worked on something together. Mark Stegbauer and I are sort of like pitching notes back and forth to each other for a project. And I'm trying to think. I have a script that's in the works.
Oh, really?
So rough draft. So
Give us a little idea of what we might look forward to seeing.
well, I'm trying to write a mystery, which is really hard.
Yeah.
So I do listen to a lot of podcast shows about writing, like the Ben Blacker's shows.
Okay.
And if somebody writes something specifically about writing mysteries, I'm like, okay, I need to pay attention to that because I'm a huge mystery fan. Like I love Castle, I love Murder, She Wrote. And then I heard that they're remaking Murder, She Wrote, by the way, if you didn't hear that news. It came out like 2 days ago.
No.
Octavia Spencer is going to be the lead. She's not going to be a teacher. She's going to be a hospital person that publishes a book and becomes a sleuth.
The only thing I grew up, and
So in other words,
sorry,
it's
I'm off topic.
Nothing like Murder, She Wrote, in other words.
Off topic, but yeah, I grew up, we watched Murder, She Wrote, but the only thing I couldn't really figure out when I grew up and I was old enough to comprehend it, they lived in this really small town. And if you do the math, everyone in town died.
Yeah, well, that's why she goes to New York a lot for her publishing. Yeah,
Love you, Angela Lansbury.
Because you got to blame New York. So so I just I like that sort of lighthearted mystery stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping I have friends that'll help me beta read and edit and stuff, so that if it's terrible, they'll let me know.
That's what friends are for.
Yes, I do.
No. That's something else I wanted to touch on too. Is I am a big fan of your podcast, Vodka O'Clock.
Thank you.
How did the idea of doing the podcast come about? Because I think we kind of did it backwards. We're thinking, oh, we're cutting edge, we're doing video. Then all of a sudden, it's like, podcast is the way to go. Nobody wants to sit and watch anything. We want to listen. And what inspired you to do a podcast?
Well, I went to school for journalism, and I was on the radio for 4 years. And then that was long before things like podcasts were a word. And I started doing little segments for Comic Geek Speak, and I love those guys. They're just my family. And so I thought, well, you know what? I'm not really reading mainstream stuff. I'm reading indie stuff, and their listeners are much more mainstream oriented.
Right.
And I did the videos for a while, but again, it's like really time consuming, and the software was like more expensive to update. So I was like, all right, videos are just gonna be once in a while kind of thing. And the podcast is just easier because what I do is I use Skype, and I have a call recorder thing, and it's just I do it like a conversation.
Yeah, that's what I know, because I won't mention his name, but I happened to listen to one of your last podcasts, and I gotta admit, I really liked the way that you had the audio set up, because I listened to him in my earbuds, and it was so balanced perfectly where you were in my left ear, and he was in my right ear, and I'm listening to it, I'm like,
It was like we were at dinner.
It was like being in the conversation, and not only did it sound like it had that feel to it.
Yes.
Now let me ask you.
Well, interviewing him is a little bit different than interviewing a lot of people.
Yeah, go back. We've got a few. Yeah, you never quite know what to expect with him.
So.
And let me ask you. As somebody who does interviews as such, what kind of tips would you give somebody getting ready to sit down to do an interview with somebody? What made you feel comfortable sitting down and having a chat with somebody?
Well, the first thing is I don't really get, I try not to act starstruck, first of all, because most of the people that are on my show are people that I know pretty well, or I know through social media. But I mean, I've interviewed Tim Kang from The Mentalist, and so I've interviewed people that I didn't know, and I just have to kind of act like I do. Like I just pretend that I do. Really, it's like in my head, I just sort of change my mental state a little bit and just be like, we're just sitting down, we're having coffee, and this is what I'm going to ask him. Yeah. And that's the kind of it gets the nerves out.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Not everybody's nervous. I'm a very nervous person.
Too.
So it's
because I told her at the beginning of the interview, I was nervous because I had honest to God, have followed her for a while, and I was trying to on the way here rehearsing what I was going to talk about, and it's like there's that fine line between not knowing enough and knowing too much. It's like I was getting a little nervous. It's like I follow her site, but I don't want to seem like I
follow on the site.
Yes, which I don't. I swear. But it is a fantastic site. It was a pleasure meeting you. Can you tell our viewers at home a couple of the websites that we can check out your work at?
Well, my site is amberunmasked.com, and the best place to follow me is on Twitter at Elizabeth Amber, because I like Twitter better than Facebook. But I'm on Facebook too, obviously.
Yeah.
There's an Amber Unmasked page.
And then the podcast?
The podcast is Vodka Clock, so you can get that on iTunes or Stitcher, or you can stream it off of the website.
Well, it was an absolute pleasure meeting you. If you get a chance to, I really do, from the bottom of my heart, recommend checking out all of her sites and her Twitter pages.
It's a little bit not safe for work, just so you know.
Yeah, really? I must have missed those sections of the website.
Yeah.
So I'm glad
use your own caution.
So get a chance to check it out.